Welcome to aminacademy.com. In questions, how the machines work. In that, we'll discuss about what is carburetor, how does it work. Carburetor is an essential mechanism responsible for the engine combustion process. The function of a carburetor is to pass the pressure of air and fuel mixture to create pressure inside the engine. A carburetor is situated between the induction manifold and the fuel filter. It is a device that supplies spark ignition to the engine by a mixture of fuel and air. This air and oil mixture is also known as combustible mixture. The carburetor has some different parts working together which are made with the different materials. For example, the main port of the Venturi is made with a lightweight aluminium. However, the other moving parts are made with a stainless steel. What are the functions of a carburetor? The functions of a carburetor are as follows. The primary function of a carburetor is to mix air and fuel and make a combustion mixture. A carburetor is responsible for engine speed. A carburetor controls the proportion of air and fuel in different mixtures, different engine situations. It keeps a certain amount of fuel always floating in a chamber. It controls the ratio of air and fuel. It vaporizes the oil or gasoline to work a homogeneous mixture of air and fuel. Now we'll discuss how it works. Look at this. This is an air filter to the engine, choke valve, and gas and air mixture created in Venturi port. And look at here. This is gas inside and air through the filter. Here gas or fuel gas go inside and it enters through the float and it supplies the air supplies the fuel, and due to Venturi effect it forcefully that is its velocity is more in Venturi throat and it goes to the engine. A carburetor is a device that mixes fuel and air in the correct proportions to create a combustible mixture for a spark ignition engine. It works by using a vacuum created by the airflow to draw the fuel from a float chamber into an airstream. The mixture is then sent to the engine cylinders for the ignition. Airflow. When the engine piston moves down, it creates a vacuum that draws air into the intake manifold of the cylinder. Venturi effect. The airflow then passes through the narrowed section in the carburetor called Venturi. This is called Venturi. In this position, the velocity of the air fuel is higher. The fuel draws. The Venturi creates a pressure drop which draws the fuel from the float chamber through a jet. The fuel is atomized as it mixes with the air, creating a combustible mixture. Intake manifold. The air fuel mixture is then sent through the intake manifold to the engine cylinder. This is the intake manifold. Through the throttle valve, it goes the amount required. Combustion. The mixture is ignited by a spark plug and the combustion of the fuel and air powers the engine. Key component, float chamber. A reservoir that holds the fuel with a float that maintains the constant fuel level. Main fuel jet, a small opening that controls the amount of fuel drawn into the airstream. Venturi, the narrowed section throat of the carburetor that creates a vacuum. Throttle valve controls the amount of air and fuel mixture entering the engine. This is a throttle valve here. Accelerator pump, an optional pump that delivers extra fuel when the throttle is suddenly opened. These are the some important points about how what is carburetor and how does it work. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.